The third update to Lloydminster Place, which came forward during the City Council meeting earlier this week, was a shocking revelation. Our Sarah Baker has more.
Lloydminster Place received a brand new update, and with the new update there was also a new cost estimate. The cost estimate of over $101 million was jarring to many councillors who then questioned if the plan was in fact just a dream instead of something that could actually be done.
There's no question that we need to build a new arena, and it has to be built by 2025 to replace our existing collapsing infrastructure, for lack of a better term. However, when you're talking about a $100 million budget on top of an $80 million wastewater treatment plant, on top of a $10 million fire hall, that's just, recent memory. We have to ask the tough questions now and make sure we're doing everything we can do to make the new facility a reality of some sort, but to what extent?
While the questions asked were important ones, other councillors didn't think the point has been reached yet as to when council should take a step away from the project.
We need to continue to go down the path of getting more precise pricing, but that is going to be a challenge because of supply chain issues that I've heard have been going on in the construction industry. So it's a hurry up and wait right now so we can try and figure out what we can get from funding from other levels of government.
It is important to members of council that community members understand that the new arena and this project is something that needs to be done and why this is.
We have engineering reports that give us a period of length left at the Civic Center. And once an engineer deems that facility not used for public use, it will not be used. It will be, in essence, condemned, if that's the term. We're in great shape today, but sooner or later we will reach that point, and it's likely going to be sooner than the long term later. It served us well, and so we do need to look at an alternate arena event place. What we're trying to do is build something to serve the city for another 60 plus years, and that's what's being designed today.
Further information and updates for Lloydminster Place will come forward in future meetings. Sarah Baker, Primetime Local News.
Now here are your agriculture prices for today. Into the world of sports. Rustler Athletics is now in full swing, and we're in the month of October, so that includes the men's volleyball program as they get their home opener this week. Adil Ahmed has the story.
The Lakeland Rustlers men's volleyball team have started off their regular season this past weekend on the right foot, getting 2 straight wins against the Northwestern Polytechnic Wolves on the road.
It was closer than we wanted in some sets, but that's what you're going to expect. It is the ACAC, so there's good players on every team.
While it was a closer match against the Wolves than what the Rustlers hoped for, the Green and Gold echoed how starting off the season in the right direction is vital.
Like when you go to class for the first time and the teachers, they're on you already. It's kind of like that. So if you start the season off, like you kind of have that hanging over you like a cloud. So it's just great, to come out with that win right off the beginning.
We played good enough to win. I think we got some improvements, but it's massive for the group and for our guys to get out of the gates with 2 wins.
The men's club will have to continue on in that direction, especially against their upcoming opponent, the team that ended their season last year in the quarterfinals in the Nadukes.
We're definitely going to be out for vengeance. But they're definitely a good team, but usually when we play good teams, we're able to elevate ourselves and play right with them, and hopefully we can get a couple wins this weekend.
We're going to have to play our best, just like any weekend in our conference. If you don't play your best, you're not going to have an opportunity to win. So, we just got to really take care of our side. We know what they have and what to expect, so as long as we execute on our side, I think it'll be a really, really close match. And so, it's just about who's going to be able to squeak it out in the end.
The Rustlers volleyball teams face the Ooks in their home opener Friday. Start times for the games will be 6 p.m. for the women, followed by the men at 8 p.m. Adil Ahmed, Primetime, Local Sports.
And now for an extended look at weather across the province. Here's Shelby Clark.
so much again there, Mr. Ian Tidswell. Yes, now taking another extended look at your weather forecast, we will be starting off with our central zone of our provinces. And on the Alberta side, we are seeing around the same temperatures as what we are looking at in the border city, as we were kind of looking across the region earlier. It's looking kind of the same, with most spots seen between 12 to 14 degrees over on this side. Over in Jasper, they are seeing just a degree cooler compared to the rest, just at 11, but at least we are still seeing those double digits over on our Alberta side, so not too bad. Switching over to our Saskatchewan side, they are seeing around the same conditions as what we are looking at on our Alberta side. That 13 and 14 in most spots over on this side. 12 degrees over in Prince Albert, while it is 10 and 11 for Saskatoon and Melfort. So looking slightly cooler, but we all are kind of seeing around the same conditions as what we were looking at our first side there. Going over to our northern zone now, they are slightly matching with the central area. Up in Uranium City and Stony Rapids, slightly cooler for that single digit. Start to warm up from there as we go a bit lower on. 10 degrees for Wollaston Lake, while it is 15 for South End, seeing the warmest. The rest are just at 13. So mid-teens as well as what we are looking at in our central area. Going back to our Alberta side for our northern zone now, they are definitely matching with us, seeing between that 12 to 14 degrees in most spots. So we all are mostly seeing those mid-teen temperatures for today, slightly seeing those fall temperatures slowly moving back in after we were seeing those 20-degree days. So we were definitely getting spoiled. Now we are cooling down quite a bit starting off into the weekend. Going over to our southern zone now, they have cooled down quite a bit. They were seeing the warmest conditions compared to the rest throughout the week, seeing those 25, 26s in some spots, closer to that 30 degrees. Now they are just at that 12 and 13 in most areas. Definitely have cooled down and dropped for today. 11 degrees for Calgary, while it is 15 in Banff. So Banff is looking at the warmest condition compared. And ending off with our Saskatchewan side, while we're looking across the provinces here, they are also cooling down for today, matching with us. Most seeing that 13, 14, 10 degrees for Kindersley, and over in Estevan, seeing the warmest at that 21. So Estevan's got that random temperature there with that 21. So lucky for Estevan. Wish we were all there. Yay. And now looking at some overnight temperatures as we head into Friday. As we are looking at some spots here across the region and the surrounding areas actually around us, we are going to be cooling down in most areas, with most expecting that low of 0 to 1 degree for tonight with Bonnyville, Provost, and Paradise Hill. Isle across the Meadow Lake will be expecting slightly warmer with that low of 3 and 4. So we are still seeing some plus temperatures. Some are at that 0 point, but at least we aren't just hitting those minuses just yet. We're getting closer though. Looking at some more temperatures, most spots will be seeing that low of 1 with Murnum, Wainwright, and Calgary. Pierceland and Unity will be expecting that low of 0. So definitely cooling down tonight. Just make sure you got that furnace on. In Calgary, we'll be expecting a chance of some showers late in the evening. And ending off with our 7-day forecast for here in the border city, like I said, we're cooling down. 9 tomorrow, 6 Saturday, 5 Sunday. And look at that, seeing that high chance of some precipitation on Saturday and into next week. Dare I say it, we're going to be expecting some snow on Monday. Brace yourselves, it's happening, it's finally coming. Just be prepared. And then we will be cooling down for sure next week with next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That's all I have for now. All right, Ian Tidswell will have more news coming up after the break.
The new WHT Mead building had its grand opening at Lakeland College's Vermilion campus last month, and I'm now joined by the Dean of the School of Agricultural Sciences, Jeff Brown. Now, Jeff, this new building was sorely needed. It'll now be home to over 600 agricultural science students.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the last WHT Mead building would have been constructed in 1964. So as you can imagine, between the changes in classroom technology and kind of as we've grown from to 600 ag students, just the sheer volume of students right now, it was a sorely needed renovation and expansion of the Mead building.
So can you talk a little bit about how students are adjusting to the new building and maybe some of the new features that are in that building that are going to help support students, but also faculty?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that especially after the last couple of years, we've gone through, where we've been in many cases forced to some online classrooms, during the construction phase of the project that maybe weren't real conducive to different learning and teaching methodologies on that side. So, we've really kind of focused on the insertion of new classroom technology. So making sure that virtual options are available in some cases, just making sure that the IT and tech is suitable to today's teaching style. And then also looking at kind of the student interaction. We're a very personal college when we come here, really focus on student interaction and conversations. And being quite relational on that side. So a lot of the classrooms were kind of designed with that in mind, able to facilitate a lot of group work and discussion and, an ability to kind of get to know our students a little bit better, I guess, on that side. The other thing that we've really, I guess, that wouldn't have really been a priority back in the 60s are kind of the student spaces that we wanted to embed in the building as well. So you had before, you could just kind of come to class and then you had to go find somewhere else to go hang out afterwards. We do have a few spaces for students to study, a few lounge spaces as well. And then of course, all of our faculty and research department is under one roof as well. So just really accessible to students and faculty. Yep.
Now, I also saw that people applying for agricultural science programs, that has been increasing over the past number of years. So does this building kind of build for the future as well to allow for more growth to see where Lakeland will go in the next couple of years?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the challenges that we had, our enrollment has grown over the last 12 years over 200%. So as you can imagine, sometimes that means where we've got some classes, we're still not huge class size, but sometimes we'll get over 100 students in class, for example, in some of our common classes for a few of our programs. Well, we only had one building on campus prior to this renovation that would facilitate a class of over 100 students, and that was in our theater, which isn't built for a teaching environment. It's more of an entertainment venue or presentation venue. So I think that that's a big part of it. It's trying to, even the hallways that were really small in the 60s, that sort of thing, it was very congested. I think the pandemic really kind of opened our eyes on that side in terms of making sure that people have space and are able to kind of get separated in certain situations. But it's also just a more relaxed environment as well, I think, when we have some space. So we built our offices so that everybody could be under one roof as well. But I think that expansion was very much a mindset. We know that this is going to be our kind of where we're doing our agricultural training here for the next 40, 50 years. So really trying to take a look at futuristic learning models, trying to look at future expansion of people and how we could facilitate that. So we've got 10 new classrooms in this building. That's much more than we had before. And then the classroom sizes kind of range from 36 to 150. And we've got 250 lecture theaters as well. So just a lot of flexibility and ability to kind of adjust to different situations. And I think that's how we'll handle some of the growth and expansion over the next few years.
Now, a big chunk of money for this project came from the province of Alberta, but another contributor to this was a Synergy Credit Union, and they contributed $150,000. Can you talk a little bit? They're also being recognized with the naming of a theater as well. Can you just talk a little bit about the contribution that they made?
Yeah, absolutely. Synergy Credit Union has been a great partner for Lakeland for a long time. Of course, they operate out of Northwest Saskatchewan, community credit union, and just have been great partners. I think that really their goal in this is to kind of strengthen, the student experience in the region, kind of build our workforce in the region, which is a very common goal that we have here at Lakeland. So we're really thankful for the support that we get from our community members, and they've been an active partner too, coming into doing guest lectures and interacting with students as well. So just really happy for their support in kind of modernizing this learning environment so that we can make it a better place to learn and kind of develop their careers within the region. So community is something we really prioritize here at Lakeland.
And it must be great to see the support coming from a local business, also supporting a local college here, and really supporting this region economically.
Yeah, absolutely. It means a lot. I think that's our roots. Obviously, I mean, we're over 100 years strong in the communities of Vermilion and Lloydminster. So, I mean, very grassroots type of development, I guess, for our college. And we've grown significantly of students, from a lot of other regions as well. But it is always nice when you have, a local community that's really believing in what you're doing and wanting to help develop that workforce, so that our region can be strong in the future as well.
All right, Jeff, well, thank you so much for taking some time to talk with me. It's great to hear some of the positive stuff that's going on at Lakeland College, really building for the future. And I'm excited to see what comes next at Lakeland College.
Thanks very much. It was great to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery and Furniture House, downtown Lloydminster.
Happy to be joined today on Primetime Local News by a familiar face. We've spoken with Joe before. Joe Chawanik is here, and we're going to be talking about Abandoned Alberta 2. Joe, this is your new book. Congratulations on this.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me back.
Well, Joe, I want to talk a little bit about the book. Obviously, we spoke with you when you did your first book of Abandoned Alberta, and now you have the second version. Was there a demand for it? Were people asking you to make another one, or is it just such a passion of yours that you knew you wanted to get that material out there?
The first one did so well, and the response was overwhelming that I think the publisher didn't have much choice. And I asked if we could do a second one, and sales were strong, so they said, "Let's go for it." So we got another one ready.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what is in the book, Joe, for those who may not have had a chance to see the first one. Tell me about some of the photos in the book and how you go about deciding what you're going to put in.
This time around, there's a lot more of southern Alberta and east central Alberta. Last time was a lot around the Edmonton area. So I spent a lot of time out exploring and joined a couple photo tours. There's a company in Calgary that has photo tours of some abandoned places. So did that. And then again, it was the process of whittling down thousands of photos into the 136 that made the book. So it was 136 new photos. A little more information than we had in the first book about some of the photos. So once again, it's just the best of the best, I think.
I noticed that on some of the photos it says Central Alberta or Southern Alberta, but there's no specific location. Is there a reason for that? Or there's some that you kind of have to not disclose exactly where they are?
100%. Yeah. Some of the landowners, when I was on the photo tours that I was on with the company, the landowners don't want everyone traipsing across their property. So some aren't. There's a few that give a little bit more detail of where they are, but it's a property rights issue now and a trespassing issue. So
Did you happen to come across any in our area? Were you out to Lloydminster, Vermilion, Bonnyville, Cold Lake for any of this in this book this time?
Viking area again, I didn't get that far yet again. It's on the list. I was in Lac La Biche and Plamondon yesterday, so getting closer. So it's a really big province.
So what does it take for you to decide to, when you see a building that this is something that you think should be in your book? Because, there obviously if you've driven across the prairies, there are lots of abandoned buildings. And what makes something unique to you to decide to actually take the photos and put it in your book, Joe?
I think if people flip through the book, they'll see that the photos are something now that's unique, different, and there's something about the building that makes it have a soul, or it's got a story to tell. So I mean, there's so many dilapidated, derelict buildings around. They don't all necessarily are photogenic, and they might be hard. It's, oh, look, another grain storage or silo building or chicken coop, but I was looking for something more this time.
So I know that you said you still have a lot of Alberta to cover. You could do a lot more photos. Have you thought about expanding to other provinces as well?
No, I'll let that. There's people in the other provinces doing books. I know in Saskatchewan, there's a gentleman doing books. He has a couple books out there too, and I think there's one in Manitoba. So I'll leave them to that. I don't know if I have the time, and with a full-time job and doing this on the side, that I would have the time.
So how much work, Joe, goes into the start to finish process of this? I mean, obviously the traveling alone takes a lot of time, but even just going through the photos and deciding, how it's going to work in a book, how long does that process take you?
I think I say in the second book now, I've just passed 22,000 kilometers on the car of driving around Alberta back roads. Times hundreds and hundreds of hours by the time I edit them, um, convert them into the proper format for the publisher, and then the writing and the research, hundreds and hundreds of hours. And then I think we did 5 or 6 back and forth drafts with the editor and the publisher. So it's a while. Takes a while.
So is it time for you, Joe, to take a little bit of a break then? Or like, wintertime, obviously the buildings look a little bit different and you can get some great shots throughout the winter too. So are you going to keep going and we can expect an abandoned Alberta 3 at some point?
I don't know about abandoned Alberta 3. We'll see how 2 does. But I'm gonna, whether there is one or not, I'm gonna keep plowing away because um, it's really touched a nerve with people with regards to saving the history and telling the stories. So I'm hoping that I'll just keep continue and might not be out as often as I have been, but I will be still traveling around searching. So like I said yesterday, I was out exploring. So days off, I still like to get in the car and go for a long drive. So I will.
So Joe, if people would like to get a copy of your book, what is the best way to locate it?
It just dropped in Costco as of today. So it's in the local Costco's and then Amazon chapters and then there's signed copies in some local Edmonton stores. Lac La Biche Museum now has some signed copies, but that's still a fair bit of a drive. So I think Costco and chapters and Amazon are your best bet so far.
All right, Joe. Well, thank you so much for joining me once again, and congratulations. These are just beautiful books to go through, and a lot of history, and just so much to see when you're driving. And I know I'll be driving a couple of times, and I was like, geez, I wonder if that was a photo that was in Joe's book. So, congratulations. Like I said, it's a beautiful book, and thanks again for speaking with us today.
Thank you so much for having me again. I really appreciate it.
And off with another quick look at your 7-day forecast. We will be seeing a sunny day tomorrow with some brightening there throughout it, but cool down to that 9 degrees. We will even be cooling down more on the weekend with that 6 and 5, and get ready for some rain Saturday. So definitely expecting some gloomier days ahead, and get prepared because Monday starting off next week, we got the first day with that snow expected 4 centimeters. So just be prepared. It's finally coming. Then we will be seeing some cooler days ahead into next week.
That's all the time we have for Primetime Local News this evening. Thank you so much for tuning in and have yourself an excellent night.